If we look in the rest of the Hagaddah, this theme of leaving out Israel is consistent. For instance, in the 4 cups. Why do we have 4 cups? Well, we have 4 cups because there are 4 languages of redemption mentioned in Exodus chapter 6, Parshat Va'era at the very beginning. V'hotzeti, v'hitzalti, v'ga'alti, v'lakachti. I will take you out of Egypt, I'll save you, I'll redeem you, and I will take you unto myself as a people. V'lakachti etchem li la'am, I'll take you as a people. We will become the people of God. Very nice. 4 cups for the 4 languages of redemption. There's only one problem. There are actually 5 languages of redemption. I will bring you into the land. Why? Why do the 4 cups also leave out the bringing and coming into the land of Israel? Unless you say, well, there are only 4 cups, what can we do? The Rif, the great predecessor of the Rambam, the great organizer of the Talmud, says, Chamishi Omer al Hagaddah. The 5th cup, you say the great Hallel. There is a 5th cup. There is a possibility of a 5th cup. The Rambam says if you want to, Yesh lo limzog kos chamishi, if you're still thirsty, you can have another cup, a 5th cup as well. There could be a 5th cup. But why don't we have a 5th cup if the 5th cup could have represented the coming into the land of Israel? More broadly speaking, there's another interpretation in the Midrash and also in the Yushalmi, the end of the Yushalmi Psachim, where it says that the reason we have 4 cups is also to remind us of the 4 cups of Joseph. Joseph, how did Joseph have cups? Well, he was interpreting the dreams of the butler. And the butler explained that he had the cup was in his hand, was in Pharaoh's hand. First it was in, then he pressed the grapes into Pharaoh's cup. And he put the cup on Pharaoh's hand. First the cup was in his hand, then he put it in Pharaoh's hand. 4 cups. Cup, kos. So, Joseph says, don't worry, in 3 days you'll be called to Pharaoh. And you'll give Pharaoh his cup. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 cups. Very nice. We have 4 cups. We're reminded of Joseph, the first one to go down to Egypt, the first one as he began to get out of Egypt. He began to interpret the dreams. He talked about 4 cups. There's only one problem. There's a 5th cup. When finally the dream comes true, and the butler comes to Pharaoh, Vayitena kos al kaf paro. He did indeed place the cup on Pharaoh's hand. If there are 5 cups, why did the rabbis only have 4? Why do we only have 4 in our Hagaddah? Why not bring the cups to fruition? Not just the interpretation that one day he would put the cup on Pharaoh's hand, but the culmination that indeed the butler did go back to putting the cup in Pharaoh's hand. Why? What's it all about? Why all the missing pieces, the mysterious missing pieces of the Hagaddah? If we look in the Mishnah, there's actually a debate, perhaps about this very point. See, how do you finish off the Magid? How do you finish off the story of telling about the Exodus from Egypt? Well, you want to make a bracha. Thank you, God. Blessed is God who Ga'alanu, Asher Ga'alanu, V'ga'alat Avotenu Mitzrayim, who redeemed us and our ancestors from Egypt. And we've had the opportunity to eat matzah and mar. Terrific. That was one version of the end of the Hagaddah. That's what Rabbi Tarfon, one of the friends of Rabbi Akiva, that's what he says you should say when you finish the Hagaddah. Thanks for the redemption and blessings for our opportunity to fulfill the mitzvot of this night. But Rabbi Akiva says no. Rabbi Akiva says there's another point. So, as you've brought us to this night, may you bring us to other nights where we will be able to fulfill the full concept of the Hagaddah. We'll be able to eat and fulfill the mitzvah of eating the Paschal lamb. And there in the land of Israel, in the temple itself in Jerusalem. We will thank you for the redemption. We bless God who redeems Israel. Rabbi Tarfon says, in sync with everything else we've said, Rabbi Tarfon says, you know what? Let's just thank God that He redeemed us and He redeemed our forefathers from Egypt. That's it. Rabbi Akiva says, there's something missing. We've got to pray for coming back to the land of Israel again, rejoicing with God in the full redemption. Why not mention that too? In this case, that piece is not missing. Rabbi Akiva wins out, and in the Hagaddah we do pray for a redemption of Israel, for a culmination of that which we've been dreaming, that which we've been talking about. But in the rest of the Hagaddah, there's that missing piece. The land of Israel is missing. Now you might say, oh well, it's not really missing. The Hagaddah does talk about coming to the land of Israel. After all, Dayenu, Dayenu. The famous song, and we say, Ilu bana lanu abed abchira v'lo ilu natan lanu Torah v'lo nisanu l'Eretz Yisrael. If He gave us the Torah, but He didn't bring us to the land of Israel, Dayenu. Oh, so we mentioned the land of Israel, going into the land of Israel. There is a mention. Thank God, there it is. We found it. It's in the Magid. It's in Dayenu. We have the mention of the Exodus from Egypt plus the coming to Israel. There's only one problem. The Rambam and Maimonides, in his Hagaddah, doesn't mention anything about the Dayenu. Dayenu's not there. In his Hagaddah, found in the back of Hilchos Chametz U'Matzah, the laws of Pesach, there he goes right from the 10 plagues right to Rabbi Gamliel and the 3 things we talk about, Pesach, Matzah, and Maror. There's no Dayenu. The Rambam also leaves out this one song that talks about coming to Israel. It's left out. It's not there. Why? Why is it missing? Fact is, the Hagaddah may leave out the land of Israel, but it's not completely missing. The land of Israel is not completely missing in that we frame the whole Hagaddah in terms of the land of Israel. We begin the Magid, we begin the Hagaddah by saying, Hashata Hacha. This year, we're over here. Now we're here. L'shana haba'ah ba'arad Yisrael. Next year, we'll be in the land of Israel. We end the Hagaddah by saying, L'shana haba'ah b'Yushalayim habnuyah. Next year, we'll be in Jerusalem. The Baal Hagaddah, the one who compiled the Hagaddah, is fully aware that there's something missing from this Hagaddah, something terribly missing from this Hagaddah. And therefore we begin by saying, yes, there is something missing. We're not there yet. And we end the Hagaddah by saying, we're not there yet. We hope to go even further. But still, why in the Hagaddah itself do we have that single-minded purpose of leaving out the land of Israel from the Hagaddah? If we look in the Rambam, we seem to see an interesting solution there to this approach, to this question. Look in the Rambam, laws of Chametz and Matzah, the laws of Chametz and leavened bread and the Matzah, Perek Shvi'i, the 7th chapter. What does he say? What's the mitzvah? Are we supposed to talk about Israel or not? He says, mitzvah aseh shel Torah. It's a positive commandment of the Torah origin. L'saper b'nisim v'niflaot, to tell and the miracles and wonders that were done to our forefathers in Egypt. Belel chamisha asar b'nisan. How exactly do you read that? Let's try that again. It's a positive commandment to tell the wonders and miracles that were done to our ancestors in Egypt on the 15th of Nisan. Does the Rambam mean that we should tell the story of Exodus on the 15th of Nisan? Or does he mean as follows? It's a positive commandment to tell the nisim, the miracles that were done to our ancestors in Egypt on the 15th of Nisan. Rabbi Soloveitchik taught that what the Rambam means, Maimonides, Rambam Moshe ben Maimon meant, was that the telling of the story should be one thing and one thing only: the miracles that happened on that night. Halayla hazeh, halayla hazeh. On this particular night, that's what happened. We want to tell about Pesach. We want to tell about what this moment means in history. Nothing else.